Michael Mann is here. His career in film and television spans more than 25 years. Miami Vice, Manhunter, The Last of the Mohicans, and Heat, just to name a few. Last year, he earned 3 Oscar nominations for his look at the tobacco industry in The Insider. His current film, Ali, is one of the most anticipated of the year. I am pleased to have Mike Mann here, back at this table. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Here's what's amazing about this for me, is that there's A, he's alive. B, there's so much video out there.
Right.
C, we know all the stories, most of them. Yeah. D, there's all these great documentaries have been made about him. So what's the pull for you as a filmmaker?
The pull for me as a filmmaker was whether or not I could both find a story and locate the audience inside the experience of Ali's history. Get audience close enough to kind of his consciousness, his elation, his first time he's dancing with Sanjay Roy.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, right.
His despondency when he's when his fortunes are at their absolute most abysmal. Yeah. And if that was possible, then it's the inside view, it's the intimate perspective. Otherwise, When We Were Kings is great, and
Taylor Hackford,
yeah, and Leon Gass.
Leon Gass, right, exactly.
Yeah, I would add that Leon was kind enough to give us about 20 hours of outtakes from When We Were Kings. Yeah. So I had this documentary footage. I was able to.
Yeah. Now, how did you get Will to approach this? I mean, what were your walking instructions to Will Smith, who plays Ali?
We decided that he would become Ali. It really wasn't. It wasn't to be an acting chore. It wasn't to be performance, and it would start with becoming a boxer, becoming a fighter.
So first of all, he's got to get his body in a boxer's trim.
Get his body in boxer's trim, which the boxing does, and it was an entire year, a year of absolute full-time preparation. Everybody that Will fights in the film, they're not stuntmen, these aren't stunts, they're boxers. We hit, we pull no punches, and Will became a boxer. Roy Jones could go into a ring and win a fight and get hit 65 times. He could take a punch. He's a fighter, and that was the same approach that we had. But that was kind of a foundation. It's a central activity of Ali's life. It affects everything, including his speech patterns. And then on kind of a second tier is everything that we could figure out that constitutes Ali, from Islamic studies to You're Alive Now, and it's 1968, and America's polarized in all these unique configurations, which nothing about the 90s would prepare you for. That to the women, to the music, this the whole totality of another human being. So it's kind of an exercise in projecting yourself into a schizophrenic state, because you build an all.
What's the, before we're going to see some clips that'll be amazing, how did you end up with it? In other words, I can imagine lots of other people want to make this. I mean, people like Spike Lee or people.
Right. I was asked if I was interested in doing Ali, and I really didn't know if I was. I've admired Ali since 1962, 63, when he was brash and doing, Ali's 1 year older than I am, and doing everything that we wanted people to do in 1962, 63, sure. Which is if there's any solemn social ritual around, puncture it. You know? And I didn't know if there was a story or motion picture here that I wanted to tell. And then in reading a terrific book by Mike Marcuzzi called Redemption Song, which is kind of a cultural history of the 60s, tracking with Ali, and also in a parallel way Bob Dylan, because both men owned who they were. They never became anybody's poster boy. I found this particular piece of time and this quest, this trajectory, and I decided that was it. And then Will and I sat down, and it just clicked. I don't think he had been at peace with the other approaches either. And when I said, this is the story I want to tell, and if I'm telling this story and the audience viewing your life intimately, then here's this character of Ali, and here's how I would bring you into that character, and here's that curriculum. It's going to take about a year, and it's going to require total commitment, and I would be committed, and you'd be committed, and that was it, and it clicked, and off we went. Down a rocky road.
Yeah, but Rocky Road.
Rocky Road.
Because?
Because there's nothing in this motion picture that didn't seem to require, output that was pretty exhaustive and exhausting. And when everything was said and done, and we had spent everything that all of us had to spend making the picture, the intimidating realization was that this is only a fraction of Muhammad Ali's life. This is only a fraction of what this guy is. So he, ironically, after spending 2 years in close proximity to Muhammad, he looms larger to me today than he did 2 years ago.
Take a look at this. In this scene, he's still Cassius Clay. Take a look.
218, 218. Sonny Liston, the champion of the world. 218 pounds.
Pounds of what? Pounds of ugly. That man's so ugly, when he sweat, the sweat run backwards off his forehead just to stay away from his face. Come on, you big ugly bear, I'll turn you into a rug.
The verbal dexterity is amazing. I mean, you know, to how fast he was in that whole sort of rift he had wherever he was.
Yeah, and he was,
now he can't speak.
Well, now I mean, the Parkinson's syndrome affects his motor control. He, perceptually, mentally, he's 100%.
Right.
But it's difficult to, it's increasingly difficult as the day wears on for him to, to speak. But what's astounding about his speech, because we studied his speech, we analyzed it. We took, Will and I would take, with a dialectician, we would take one paragraph of something he said to a reporter in 1965 in Lewiston, Maine, and we spent a week on it. Because in this paragraph he says the word prediction 3 different ways.
Yeah.
And he's role changing, so the wit is so fast, it's almost an analog, speech patterns are almost an analog for the way he is in the way he was in the ring. And the other thing that we noticed is that after the 3 years of his exile, he supported himself by lecturing on college campuses, and he would get in give and takes and in debates.
Yeah.
And so his speech, the erudition, is incredible in 1971 compared to earlier on. It's almost as if that substituted for the formal education that he didn't.
In the college tour, or just this fact that he used his brain in such an interesting way?
Such an interesting way, and he would move down a course in speech, digress into I would expect the people to show up with this fight. He'd name 14 countries, 14 capital cities, and come right back to exactly the sentence he began with, and continue on. And it was almost an analog for Ali's footwork fighting Cleveland Williams. I mean, it was quite, the dexterity of it is fabulous.
Let me take a look at this, and I've got some questions about Ali. We'll talk. It shows your fight scene. This is between first fight, Liston and Ali. How do you explain that? Not in awe of the champion, because, you know, that happened again with Foreman too, where there was some
demoralization, the kind of psyops of his fight plan. Because Ali was studious. Ali studied fight films until he wore them out, and he walked into a fight with as much of a fight plan as a Formula One driver walks and goes into a race with a race plan. Yeah.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, I mean he would have, and sometimes he'd have two. So he's walking in a fight sometimes with two. It's like a chess master with two strategic openings. If he noticed that a fighter started dropping his left shoulder after the 5th round because when he started to wear it down, then Ali's looking to wear that down and drag him out to the deep end of the swimming pool. In the case of George Foreman, who had never gone more than 8 rounds. Well, how's it going to be for George in round 9? How about round 10?
Roll tape. I want you to see this because this shows him. John Voight gives a wonderful performance, I think, as Howard Cosell, and here he is playing Howard Cosell interviewing Muhammad Ali.
I apologize to you.
You sure make a lot of mistakes for a so-called educated man. You really went to law school?
Yes, Muhammad, and to think I gave up a lucrative practice for the likes of you.
I'm the best thing ever happened to you, Cosell. Without me, you'd be a tall white man with a microphone in his mouth.
And without me, you'd be a mouth.
Wow. It's a hell of a relationship, though, wasn't it?
It's a great relationship. And Ali had a variety show that was on network television. I don't know if it was 1 or 2 episodes. And somebody somebody had a kinescope of it,
Yeah.
and they brought it around. And in the third quarter of it, Ali looks in the audience and he says, "Howard Cosell, what are you doing here?" And Howard walks up on the stage, and they proceed to do about 9 minutes of bad vaudeville, which is so bad it's hilarious because of how bad it was. And but it's a fabulous, close relationship.
Here's what Ron Silver said about you. This isn't just Michael's fight movie. Some say every director wants to have one fight movie. For Michael, this is a story about the 60s, race, Vietnam, and rebelling against the system. Silver has you down, right?
He has some of it down, yeah.
What part don't you think is right?
I think that's right too. But it's also about 1974 and the formation of the Ali identity, the first formation of the Ali identity that kind of resounds to us globally and historically. The unique connection of Ali to people, both as a mass and then one-to-one. And you know him, so you've seen him just spontaneously react to a guy selling popcorn or a kid or something. And it's the perception, it's hard to figure out. I've got bad, amateur theories about it, but it's hard to nail what is so totally perceptive about Ali. But it's there. I mean, he would nail you sometimes with some observation that you'd find him having on a set.
My thanks to Michael Mann. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you for joining us.